In this video, we're going to continue to expand on our getTasks request, adding other options that the consumer of the API can use to further refine the data that they get back. And in this lesson, we're going to focus on enabling what's known as pagination. Let's go ahead and move to Google to find a good pagination example. What I'm going to do is take one of my tabs and just Google pagination examples. And we'll go ahead and find a good result in the search results. And right here, we actually have one. The Google search results use pagination. The pagination examples search returned 6 million results. I do not have 6 million results on this page. Instead, I have the first 10. If I want to see more, down at the bottom, I can go to page 2 to view the next 10, page 3 to view that third set of 10, and so on and so forth. This is pagination. It is the idea of creating pages of data that can be requested so you're not fetching everything all at once. If I have 700 complete tasks, I don't want to fetch and show 700 at the same time. I could show maybe the first 10 or the first 50, then fetch more if needed. So in the case of Google, they actually show you page numbers that you click between, but this is not the only way to implement pagination. You've probably seen other websites and applications show you a button when you get to the bottom of the list, something that says load more or view more. You click the button and it appends more results right there, and you continue to scroll down. Even other applications use what you would typically call something like an infinite scrolling application, such as Instagram, where it's automatically fetching the next pages of data behind the scenes as you're scrolling. So that means that the user never needs to manually request more data, it's automatically fetched for you. Now, regardless of what 3 of those approaches you actually want to implement for your app, the backend is going to be the same. We need a way for people requesting their tasks to specify which page of data they're trying to fetch. And we're going to do that by setting up 2 new options for this request. There are 2 options we're going to enable to add support for pagination. The first is limit and the second is skip. Now, both of these are going to get set equal to numbers, and let's see how they would be used to recreate the behavior we're seeing with pagination on Google. Right here, that is get/tasks. We'll be setting up that query string, and I will start with limit. Limit allows us to limit the number of results we get back for any given request. Now, in the case of Google, we saw that regardless of which page we go to, we're just getting 10 results. Right here, if that's what we wanted, we would set it equal to 10. Now, maybe you want to go way more than that, like 50 or 100, that's fine too. You can set limit equal to that value. Now, the other half of the equation is skip. Right here, skip is also going to get set equal to a number, and this is what allows you to iterate over pages. So if I skip 0 and get 10, I'm getting the first 10 results. If I skip 10 and then get 10, I'm getting the second set of 10. So right here with 0, I'm getting the first page on Google. If I set it equal to 10, I'm skipping that first page, getting the second page on Google. And if I set it equal to 20, I get the third page, and so on and so forth. Now you could customize it to be whatever you wanted. You could have pages of 50, pages of 1, or pages of 1,000. By adding support for limit and skip, the client making the request will be able to customize how they want to use pagination. Now that we've seen what the URL structure is going to look like, we need to figure out how we're going to provide this information to Mongoose so Mongoose can correctly populate the tasks. And the answer is that we provide an options property right here. This options property can be used for pagination, and it can also be used for sorting, which is a topic we'll cover in the next lesson. For now, though, we're not going to worry about that. What we have access to set on options is both limit and skip. So right here, I can set limit equal to 2 to limit it to just 2 tasks. Let's go ahead and see if this actually works. I'm going to save the program. I'm going to head over to Postman, and we'll try it out. Now I am going to remove the completed query parameter as I want to make sure that I am getting all 4 tasks back in terms of whether or not they're completed, but I should only see 2 since that's what I've asked for. Right here, I get just first and second showing up. Now, if I were to change limit to a different value, I would see that many of it. But what we're going to do is allow the user to provide it. So what I'm going to do right here is use the following. I'm going to use parseInt. It's a function provided by JavaScript, which allows us to parse a string that contains a number into an actual integer, which is what Mongoose expects. Remember, when someone provides a value as part of that query string, it's always going to be a string. We saw that with our value that we need to be a Boolean right here. And in the case of these numbers, they're not numbers in JavaScript. They are strings with the characters 10-0 or 2-0 inside of them. So we will parse the following integer. What do we have? We have request.query.limit. So here we're taking the limit, if any, parsing it and setting it equal to the value. Now, if limit isn't provided or it's not a number, it's going to be ignored by Mongoose, which means that we're only going to limit when it's actually a number that's provided, which is handy. So right here, we can save the task router. We can head over to Postman and test this out. Now, if I fire off the request in its current state, I would expect to see all 4 results. Right here, that's exactly what I'm getting. Now let's go ahead and set up limit up above. I'm going to set limit equal to, I'll go ahead and start off with 1. I fire that off, and right here, I get just the first one. I could change it to 3 if I wanted to paginate in groups of 3. Down below, I get the first 3 results. And I could set it to something even higher, like 10. Now, in this case, I don't even have 10 results, but down below, I do get the first 10 that exist. In this case, it's just 4. If there were more, though, they would show up as the limit has been set to 10. Now that we have that in place, we want to go ahead and also set up support for skip. Currently, all we can do is limit the number of tasks, but we can't get the next group of whatever. So if I want to limit in pages of 2, I can get the first 2, but I have no way to get the second 2. What I'd want to do is set skip to 2 in order to get that done. Let's go ahead and actually enable this over in Visual Studio Code. I'm going to switch over to Visual Studio Code, and this is going to be your challenge for the video. So I'll paste those challenge comments up above. What you're going to do is set up support for the skip option, much like we just set up limit down below. You want to make sure to parse the skip query parameter, then you want to use that as the value for the skip option. Now, once you have that in place, like we do below, you want to test things out. So over from Postman, first fetch the first page of 2 results, then fetch the third page of 2 results. For that first page, I would expect to see the first and second tasks. For the third page, I would get nothing, as there is no 5th or 6th task in the database. Then fetch the first page of 3 and the second page of 3. The first page of 3 should contain those first 3 tasks, and the second page of 3 should contain just 1, which would be the 4th task we have in the database. So take some time to knock that out and test your work. When you're done, come back and click play. How'd that go? Let's go ahead and kick things off by setting up the skip option down below. So right here, the option on the options object is skip. And once again, we're going to use parseInt because we have to provide a number. Request.query. Right here, skip will allow us to get that done. Now that's actually all we need to do in terms of code changes. Now though, I do want to fetch the pages by 2 and then by 3. Let's go ahead and kick that off over inside of Postman. So right here, I am limiting by 2 and I'm going to set up skip. Right here, I can set skip equal to 0, or I could choose to leave it off altogether, and this would give me the first 2 results. So down below, that is exactly what I get. I'm getting my first page of 2. Now, if I wanted the second page of 2, I would set skip equal to 2, but I asked you for the third page of 2, which would be to skip 4. So right here, if I fire that off, it's grabbing the 5th and 6th task. Those don't exist, so down below, we get nothing. Next up, I wanted you to fetch by pages of 3. So here I'll set limit to 3, and I'll start by fetching the first page by setting skip equal to 0. I fire that off and I get the first, the second, and the third tasks. That is all I'm getting back. If I wanted to get the second page, which is what I asked you to do, you would set skip to 3. You skip those you skip those first 3, and you get the next 3. Now, we only have one item in that next page of 3. It is 4th showing up, though if there was a 5th and a 6th, those would show up here as well. So now that we have this in place, we have pagination set up for tasks. Someone could use pagination with the completed option at the exact same time to really customize their data. I could paginate over all of my incomplete tasks, or I could paginate over all of my completed tasks. The choice is mine. Next up, we're going to focus on sorting data. So if we want to get our data back in a specific order, such as with the oldest incomplete tasks first, we need a way to actually get that done. We're going to set that up in the next lesson. So I'm going to save the file here, and I'll see you in the next one.